Grace and peace to you this blessed Friday morning. May the Lord keep you and help you in all of your ways. We have covered some ground looking at grace, and we established that grace, yes, it is God's unmerited favor. We don't deserve it. We cannot work for it. It is without limits. It is birthed from His love, and it is given to us to influence us, to give us that divine influence to live a godly life. And it also empowers us to do so. So we've looked at the saving grace that keeps us from the wrath of God. We looked at the sanctifying grace that keeps us from living an unholy and an ungodly life. We also look at the grace that strengthens us so that we would not faint in the midst of trials and tribulations. Today, we're going to look at the grace that helps us to share so that we are not selfish, and the grace that helps us to serve so that we are productive in what God has called us to do in the earth. Let us go to 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 9 and 10. Hospitable to one another without grumbling, as each one has received a gift, minister it to one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Manifold grace of God, falling over, many variations, no limits. As you use God's grace, there's more grace coming at you. There's an abundance of grace, exceeding. So what excuse do we have not to share, not to serve? Let us also look at 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8. And God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that you always, having all sufficiency in all things, may have an abundance for every good work. What excuse do we have? God gives us abundant grace, manifold grace, so that we can serve and so that we can share. So the next time that God is calling you to serve, remember, our service is unto God, the one who gives us life and breath. We serve Him as we serve others. So serve without grumbling. And even when we feel like the odds are against us, or we don't have the strength or the resources to give or the resources to help someone, remember to tap into God's grace. God gives us that abundant grace so that we can give out of our lack sometimes. But remember, it has to be by the leading of the Holy Spirit, not out of compulsion and not out of emotion. But when the Holy Spirit is leading you to serve or leading you to share, obey, and remember that He is giving sufficient grace to be able to bless someone with something, and He's given that manifold of grace that you can serve when you're tired, you can serve when it's an inconvenience, you can serve when you have to make a sacrifice. This is the help that God is giving to us. The grace of God is there for us to utilize to serve and to share, to help one another. God bless you. Have a good day. Have a fantastic weekend.